The arrival. The sleek, obsidian hull of the Zarkonian warship, Relentless, cut through the inky blackness of space, its imposing silhouette a testament to the technological superiority of the galactic hegemony. Commander Vexthor stood on the bridge, his four eyes scanning the holographic displays surrounding him. The blue planet below grew larger as they approached, its swirling clouds concealing the primitive human colony they had come to conquer. "Status report," Vexthor demanded, his voice a low rumble that reverberated through the command deck. Lieutenant Zarek, a young officer eager to prove himself, responded promptly. "All systems nominal, Commander. Our scans show minimal technological activity on the surface. No signs of advanced defenses or spacefaring capabilities." Vexthor nodded, his upper set of eyes narrowing while the lower pair remained fixed on the planet. As expected, these humans are nothing but remnants of a dying species. Their homeworld is long gone, and this pitiful outpost is all that remains. The Zarkonians had heard tales of humanity's past glories, of course. Stories of a species that had once challenged the stars themselves. But that was ancient history. Now, humans were little more than a footnote in galactic affairs, scattered across a handful of backwater worlds at the edge of civilized space. "Prepare the landing parties," Vexthor ordered. "I want boots on the ground within the hour. Remember, we're here to secure this world for the glory of the hegemony. These humans are of no consequence." As the crew bustled about, preparing for planetfall, Vexthor allowed himself a moment of contemplation. This mission was supposed to be a simple operation, a chance to expand Zarkonian influence without the hassle of real warfare. Part of him almost pitied the humans. They had no idea what was coming. The dropships descended through the atmosphere, their heat shields glowing as they pierced the cloud cover. Inside, squads of Zarkonian soldiers checked their weapons and armor one last time. They were the elite of the hegemony's military, each one a veteran of a dozen campaigns across the galaxy. This human world would be just another conquest to add to their already impressive record. As the ships touched down on the outskirts of the main human settlement, Sergeant Krellax addressed his team. "Remember your training. These primitives might not even know we exist. Our job is to secure the area and prepare for full colonization. If you encounter any resistance, well, you know what to do." The dropship doors hissed open, and the Zarkonians poured out onto the alien soil. The air was thinner than they were used to, but their environmental suits compensated automatically. Before them stretched a landscape of rolling hills and dense forests, with the faint outlines of human structures visible in the distance. "Spread out and advance," Krellax ordered. "Keep your sensors active. Just because we can't detect any significant technology doesn't mean they're completely helpless." The soldiers moved forward in perfect formation, their anti-gravity boots allowing them to traverse the rough terrain with ease. As they approached the outskirts of the settlement, an eerie silence settled over the group. There were no sounds of machinery, no chatter of communication devices, not even the basic noises one would expect from a primitive agricultural society. "Sir," one of the soldiers called out, "I'm not detecting any life signs within range. It's as if the place is deserted." Krellax frowned beneath his helmet. "Impossible. Our long-range scans showed a population of at least 10,000 in this area. They can't have all just disappeared." As the Zarkonians entered the settlement proper, the mystery only deepened. The buildings were a mix of prefabricated structures and more permanent dwellings built from local materials. But there was no sign of the inhabitants. Gardens were overgrown, vehicles sat abandoned in the streets, and a layer of dust covered everything. "It looks like they left in a hurry," another soldier observed, peering into an empty home through a grimy window. "But why? And where did they go?" Krellax was about to respond when a flash of movement caught his eye. He spun, weapon raised, but saw nothing except the wind rustling through some nearby bushes. A chill ran down his spine, despite the temperature regulation of his suit. "Stay alert," he growled to his team. "Something's not right here." Back on the Relentless, Commander Vexthor watched the feed from the ground teams with growing unease. This wasn't how the operation was supposed to go. Where were the cowering humans, the pitiful attempts at resistance, the easy victory he had promised his superiors? Lieutenant Zarek, he snapped, run another full-spectrum scan of the planet. I want to know where these humans are hiding. Zarek hurried to comply, his fingers dancing over the control panels. Minutes ticked by as the ship's powerful sensors probed the planet's surface. Finally, he turned to the commander, confusion evident in his voice. Sir, I don't understand. We're detecting organic life, but it's dispersed across a wide area. No large concentrations that would indicate a hidden settlement or underground bunker. It's almost as if what, Lieutenant? Vexthor demanded. As if they've somehow merged with the environment itself, sir. But that's impossible. The humans don't have that level of biotechnology. Vexthor's mind raced. Could they have underestimated these primitives so badly? No, it had to be a malfunction, or some quirk of the planet's natural life that was confusing their sensors. Recall the ground teams, he ordered. I want a full debrief, and then we'll plan our next move. As the dropships lifted off to retrieve the soldiers, Sergeant Krellax couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. His team had searched building after building, finding signs of recent habitation, but no actual inhabitants. It was as if the entire population had simply melted away into the wilderness. Just as they were about to board their transport, a sound echoed through the abandoned streets. It was faint, almost at the edge of hearing, but unmistakable to the trained soldiers. The rhythmic beat of a war drum. What the hell is that? One of the soldiers whispered, his grip tightening on his weapon. Krellax raised a hand for silence, straining his enhanced hearing to its limits. The drumming grew louder, joined by other percussion instruments he couldn't identify. And beneath it all, a low, haunting chant in a language their translators couldn't decipher. Back to the ship now, Krellax shouted, all pretense of stealth abandoned. As the Zarkonians scrambled to board their dropship, the music swelled to a crescendo. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, it stopped. The silence that followed was somehow even more terrifying than the alien melody had been. The dropship's engines roared to life, lifting the craft into the air. As they ascended, Krellax looked down at the settlement they were leaving behind. For just a moment, he thought he saw movement in the shadows between the buildings. But when he blinked, there was nothing there but empty streets and abandoned homes. Back on the Relentless, Commander Vexthor listened to the ground team's report with growing concern. This was no longer a simple conquest. Something was very wrong on this supposedly primitive world, and he was determined to find out what. Prepare a full invasion force, he ordered, his voice tight with suppressed anger and fear. We'll smoke out these humans, wherever they're hiding, and when we find them, they'll learn the true meaning of Zarkonian might. As the warship's crew rushed to comply with their commander's orders, none of them noticed the small organic-looking device that had attached itself to the hull during their brief incursion. Deep in the forests below, a group of humans gathered around a makeshift command center, watching the alien ship's every move on cobbled-together displays. An older woman, her face lined with scars and her eyes sharp with intelligence, turned to her companions. They took the bait, she said, a grim smile playing at the corners of her mouth. Now let's show these invaders why humanity has survived everything the galaxy has thrown at us. The others nodded, their expressions a mix of determination and fierce joy. The Zarkonians thought they were dealing with helpless primitives. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. As night fell on the alien world, both sides prepared for the battle to come. The Zarkonians, with their advanced technology and military might, were confident in their eventual victory. But the humans, forged in the crucible of 1,000 struggles for survival, knew that this was just the beginning. The stage was set for a conflict that would shake the very foundations of the galactic hegemony and reveal the true nature of humanity's strength. In the darkness, the war drums began to beat once more, a primal rhythm that spoke of defiance, resilience, and the indomitable human spirit. The Zarkonians had come expecting an easy conquest. What they would find instead was a force of nature, a species that had turned adversity into an art form and survival into a science. The humans were ready, and they were about to teach the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. First contact. As dawn broke over the alien world, Commander Vexthor stood before his assembled troops. The cavernous hangar bay of the Relentless was filled with row upon row of Zarkonian soldiers, their armor gleaming in the harsh artificial light. Dropships and assault vehicles stood ready, their engines humming with barely contained power. Warriors of the hegemony, Vexthor's voice boomed through the chamber, amplified by his suit's systems. We face an unexpected challenge. These humans have shown themselves to be more cunning than we anticipated. But make no mistake, they are still primitives compared to our might. Today we will crush their pathetic resistance and claim this world for the glory of Zarkon. A thunderous cheer went up from the assembled soldiers, their enthusiasm masking the undercurrent of unease that had settled over the ship since the previous day's strange encounters. As the troops began to board their transports, Vexthor turned to his second-in-command, Sub-Commander Ixora. "I want constant communication with all ground forces," he ordered. "At the first sign of organized resistance, we hit them with everything we've got. No mercy, no prisoners. Is that understood?" Ixora nodded, her expression grim behind her translucent faceplate. "Understood, Commander. But what if we encounter more anomalies like yesterday?" Vexthor's upper eyes narrowed. "Then we adapt and overcome. That's what makes us the supreme power in this galaxy. Now, oversee the deployment. I'll coordinate from the command deck." As the invasion force descended through the atmosphere, the human resistance watched from hidden bunkers scattered throughout the wilderness. In one such shelter, deep beneath an ancient forest, the woman who had spoken the previous night, known to her people simply as the Elder, studied the incoming dropships on a jury-rigged display. "They're spreading out," she observed, her voice calm despite the gravity of the situation. "Trying to cover more ground this time." A young man with cybernetic implants visible along his temples spoke up. "Should we activate the first line of defenses, Elder?" She nodded, a fierce gleam in her eyes. "Do it, Zeke. Let's give our guests a proper welcome." Zeke grinned and began inputting commands into a battered console. Across the planet's surface, hidden systems hummed to life, ready to unleash hell on the unsuspecting invaders. The first Zarkonian dropships touched down in a clearing several miles from the abandoned settlement they had explored the day before. Sergeant Krellax led his squad out, weapons at the ready. The forest around them was eerily silent, no birdsong or rustling of wildlife to be heard. "Fan out," Krellax ordered. "Standard search pattern. Keep your eyes open for any sign of the locals." The soldiers moved forward cautiously, their advanced sensors prodding the surrounding vegetation for any hint of human activity. They had gone barely 100 meters when one of the troops called out in alarm. "Sarge, my armor, it's malfunctioning." Krellax turned to see the soldier stumbling, his normally graceful movements becoming jerky and uncoordinated. Before he could respond, other members of the squad began experiencing similar issues. "What in the name of the hegemony is going on?" Krellax growled, checking his own systems. Everything seemed fine, but as he watched, more and more of his troops began to struggle with their equipment. Suddenly, a high-pitched whine filled the air. The Zarkonians clutched at their helmets, trying to block out the painful sound. In their distraction, they failed to notice the ground beneath their feet beginning to shift and churn. Without warning, the earth opened up, swallowing several soldiers whole. Vines and roots burst from the soil, wrapping around the aliens' limbs and weapons. What had seemed like a normal forest moments ago had transformed into a nightmarish tangle of hostile plant life. "Fall back," Krellax shouted, firing his plasma rifle at the encroaching vegetation. The superheated bolts seared through the plants, but for every vine destroyed, two more seemed to take its place. As the Zarkonians retreated in disarray, hidden cameras captured every moment of their defeat. In the underground bunker, the human resistance watched with grim satisfaction. Nanite-infused bioengineering, Zeke explained to a group of younger fighters gathered around the displays. We've spent decades modifying the local flora to respond to specific signals. Those dropships of theirs, they're practically beacons for our defense systems. The elder nodded approvingly. Well done, Zeke. But this is just the beginning. They'll adapt quickly. We need to stay one step ahead. Back on the Relentless, Commander Vexthor watched in disbelief as reports flooded in from all across the planet's surface. Entire squads were being decimated by what appeared to be the very environment itself. Vehicles sank into suddenly liquefied ground. Communication systems were disrupted by unknown interference, and in some cases, the air itself seemed to turn against the invaders, becoming thick and unbreathable even through their advanced filters. Impossible, Vexthor muttered, his composure slipping for the first time since the mission began. How can these primitives possess such technology? It goes beyond anything we've encountered before. Lieutenant Zarek approached cautiously, a datapad clutched in his hands. Sir, we've managed to capture some readings from the planet's surface. You need to see this. Vexthor snatched the pad, his four eyes widening as he absorbed the information displayed there. The so-called primitive world was alive with energy signatures, a complex web of advanced technology that had been invisible to their initial scans. How did we miss this? He demanded. Zarek swallowed nervously. It appears, sir, that the humans have developed some kind of adaptive camouflage technology. It doesn't just hide their equipment, it actively mimics natural phenomena. Our sensors interpreted it all as normal background radiation and biological processes. Vexthor's mind raced. This changed everything. The humans weren't primitive survivors clinging to existence on a backwater world. They were a technologically advanced society that had chosen to hide its true nature from the rest of the galaxy. Recall all ground forces immediately, he ordered. We need to regroup and reassess our strategy. As the battered Zarkonian troops retreated to their ships, the human resistance allowed themselves a moment of celebration. But the elder knew that their victory was far from assured. They'll be back, she warned her people. And next time, they'll be better prepared. We need to move to the next phase of the plan. Zeke nodded, already tapping away at his console. I'll alert the other enclaves. It's time to show these aliens what humanity is really capable of. Over the next several hours, the Zarkonians regrouped and licked their wounds. In the command center of the Relentless, Vexthor and his top officers pored over the data they had gathered from their disastrous first engagement. Their technology is unlike anything in our records, Sub-Commander Ixra observed. It's as if they've taken a completely different path of development than the rest of the galaxy. Vexthor nodded grimly. Which makes them unpredictable and dangerous. We can't underestimate them again. Prepare our heaviest weapons. Next time, we'll strike with overwhelming force. As the Zarkonians readied themselves for another assault, the humans were far from idle. All across the planet, hidden factories hummed to life, producing advanced weaponry and equipment that had lain dormant for generations. In secret bunkers and concealed cities, soldiers donned powered armor that made the Zarkonian suits look primitive by comparison. The elder stood before a holographic map of the planet, surrounded by her top advisors. They'll hit us hard next time, she said, her voice filled with quiet determination. But we've spent centuries preparing for this moment. Humanity has faced extinction before, and each time, we've come back stronger. This will be no different. One of the advisors, a grizzled veteran named Marcus, spoke up. What about the other colonies? Should we call for reinforcements? The elder shook her head. Not yet. We need to keep our true numbers and capabilities hidden for as long as possible. If we can make them think this single world is giving them this much trouble, imagine how they'll react when they learn the full truth. As both sides prepared for the next confrontation, tension hung heavy in the air. The Zarkonians, their confidence shaken but their resolve hardened, were determined to crush this unexpected resistance and salvage their mission. The humans, drawing on millennia of survival instincts and centuries of hidden technological advancement, stood ready to defend their home and reveal to the galaxy why they have been both feared and respected in ages past. The stage was set for a battle that would shake the very foundations of galactic civilization. In hidden bases and orbiting warships, soldiers checked their weapons and steeled themselves for the fight to come. But even as they prepared for war, neither side fully grasped the true stakes of the conflict that was about to unfold. For the humans, this was more than just a fight for survival. It was a chance to reshape their place in the galaxy, to step out of the shadows and reclaim their legacy as a force to be reckoned with. And for the Zarkonians, what had begun as a routine conquest was rapidly becoming a desperate struggle against an enemy they didn't understand. An enemy that seemed to defy every assumption they had about how the universe worked. As the alien sun set on the embattled world, both humans and Zarkonians looked to the sky with a mix of anticipation and dread. The next day would bring fire and death, victory and defeat. But more than that, it would bring revelations that would change the course of galactic history forever. In her underground command center, the Elder closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of countless generations resting on her shoulders. When she opened them again, they blazed with fierce determination. "Send the signal," she ordered. "It's time to show these invaders why humanity has survived everything the universe has thrown at us. It's time to remind the galaxy why they used to fear us." As the coded transmission pulsed out from hidden relays, carrying with it the hopes and defiance of an entire species, the Zarkonians orbiting above remained unaware of the true scale of the force they had awakened. They thought they were facing a single lost colony of humans. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. The turning tide. The Zarkonian assault began at dawn, a coordinated attack that lit up the sky with the fire of orbital bombardment. Commander Vexthor had decided to take no chances this time, unleashing the full might of his fleet's weaponry to soften up the human defenses before sending in ground troops. From the bridge of the Relentless, Vexthor watched with grim satisfaction as energy beams lanced down from his ships, targeting the areas where they had detected the strongest concentrations of human technology. The planet's surface erupted in a series of massive explosions, sending plumes of smoke and debris high into the atmosphere. "Status report," Vexthor demanded, his eyes fixed on the tactical displays. Lieutenant Zarek's voice was tense but controlled as he responded. "Initial bombardment successful, sir. We're detecting significant damage to the areas we targeted. However," he hesitated, his antennae twitching nervously. "However what, Lieutenant?" Vexthor's tone was dangerously low. "We're not picking up any signs of secondary explosions or chain reactions that we'd expect from hitting major power sources or weapons caches. It's as if we're just causing surface damage." Vexthor's upper eyes narrowed in suspicion. "Are you suggesting these humans have some kind of shielding technology we can't detect?" Before Zarek could respond, alarms blared across the bridge. Sub-Commander Ixor's voice cut through the chaos. "Multiple launches detected from the planet's surface. Incoming missiles." "Impossible," Vexthor breathed, watching in disbelief as swarms of projectiles rose from the smoke-shrouded planet. "Evasive maneuvers. All ships, activate point defense systems." The space around the Zarkonian fleet erupted in a dazzling display of explosions as their defensive weapons engaged the incoming threats. But these were no ordinary missiles. They moved with uncanny agility, twisting and turning to avoid the aliens' fire. Those that were destroyed split apart, each fragment becoming a new, smaller projectile that continued towards its target. On the planet's surface, deep underground in the primary human command center, the Elder watched the space battle unfold on holographic displays. Despite the ferocity of the Zarkonian attack, a small smile played at the corners of her mouth. "Fractal warheads," she murmured, nodding appreciatively. "Well done, Zeke." They never saw it coming. The young tech genius grinned, his fingers flying over his control panel. That's just the first wave, Elder. Wait until they get a load of what's coming next. As if on cue, new alerts flashed across their screens. The Zarkonian fleet, still reeling from the missile attack, was about to face a threat they had never encountered before. In orbit, Vexthor and his crew watched in horror as what appeared to be a massive energy web materialized around their ships. Tendrils of crackling power reached out, ensnaring vessels and disrupting their systems. "What is this?" Vexthor demanded, his composure finally cracking. "Some kind of energy weapon." Zarek shook his head, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and awe. "No, sir. It's a gravity manipulation field. They're literally warping space-time around us." The implications of this technology were staggering. The ability to control gravity at this scale was thought to be purely theoretical, even among the most advanced races in the galaxy. Yet here were these supposedly primitive humans, wielding it as a weapon of war. As the Zarkonian fleet struggled against the invisible forces threatening to tear their ships apart, a new transmission cut through their communications channels. The alien officers froze as a human voice, speaking perfect Zarkonian, filled the bridge. "Attention, invaders. This is your first and only warning. Leave our space immediately, or face total annihilation. You have gravely underestimated humanity, and we are prepared to demonstrate the full extent of our capabilities if you force our hand." The transmission cut off, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Vexthor, his pride warring with his instinct for self-preservation, turned to his officers. "Options," he growled. "Give me options, now." While the Zarkonians grappled with their sudden reversal of fortune, the human resistance was shifting into high gear. All across the planet, hidden facilities were coming online, revealing the true extent of humanity's preparedness. In one such facility, carved into the heart of a mountain range, rows of sleek, biomechanical combat suits stood ready. Soldiers, their bodies enhanced with cutting-edge cybernetics, began to suit up. These weren't the primitive settlers the Zarkonians had expected to find. These were the elite warriors of a civilization that had spent centuries honing itself into the perfect survival machine. Marcus, the grizzled veteran advisor, approached the Elder as she oversaw the deployment. "The orbital defense grid is fully operational," he reported. "We can have planet-wide coverage within the hour. Should we proceed with a full counterattack?" The Elder considered for a moment, her eyes never leaving the strategic display. "Not yet," she decided. "Let them sweat a little longer. I want them to fully understand the situation they blundered into before we show our full hand." Back in orbit, the Zarkonian fleet had managed to break free of the gravity manipulation field, but at a terrible cost. Several smaller ships had been torn apart by the stress, and even the mighty Relentless showed signs of structural damage. Commander Vexthor, his earlier bravado replaced by grim determination, addressed his battered forces. "All ships, assume defensive formations. Launch all fighter squadrons. If these humans want a war, we'll give them one they'll never forget." As Zarkonian fighters poured out of their carrier bays, the humans unveiled the next level of their defensive strategy. From hidden silos across the planet's surface, swarms of autonomous drones took to the skies. These weren't the simple machines the aliens might have expected, but highly advanced AI-driven units, each one a match for multiple Zarkonian fighters. The battle that ensued was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Zarkonian energy weapons clashed with human plasma beams and exotic particle projectors. Gravity wells opened up in the midst of fighter squadrons, crushing alien ships like insects. And through it all, the humans revealed layer after layer of technological surprises, each one more advanced than the last. On the surface, the Elder received reports from all fronts. Despite the ferocity of the Zarkonian attack, human casualties were minimal. Their prepared defenses, hidden for so long, were proving more than a match for the invaders. "It's time," she announced to her advisors. "Send in the Phantoms." At her command, A new type of vessel emerged from concealed hangars across the planet. The Phantoms were the pinnacle of human stealth technology, virtually undetectable by conventional sensors. As they rose to engage the Zarkonian fleet, they seemed to flicker in and out of existence, striking with devastating precision before vanishing again. Aboard the Relentless, chaos reigned. Vex Thor watched helplessly as his mighty armada was slowly but surely dismantled by an enemy he couldn't even see properly. "This is impossible," he muttered, more to himself than to his officers. "How could we have been so wrong about them? How could they have hidden all of this?" Sub-Commander Ixora, her usual stoicism cracking under the strain, turned to her leader. "Sir, we need to retreat. We're not equipped to handle this level of technology. If we stay, we'll be destroyed." Vex Thor's first instinct was to refuse, to fight to the bitter end rather than admit defeat. But as another explosion rocked the ship, he realized the futility of their situation. These humans weren't just fighting back. They were systematically taking apart everything the Zarkonians threw at them. "Send the signal," he said, his voice heavy with the weight of his decision. "All ships, full retreat. Get us out of this system." As the battered Zarkonian fleet limped away from the planet, their faster-than-light drives pushing to the limit, the human defenders allowed themselves a moment of celebration. Cheers echoed through command centers and bunkers across the world as the realization of their victory sank in. But the Elder's expression remained serious as she addressed her people. "This isn't the end," she warned. "It's only the beginning. We've revealed ourselves to the galaxy now, and there will be consequences." In the following days, as the human world began the process of standing down from full military alert, reports started coming in from their deep space monitoring stations. The news of the Zarkonian defeat was spreading rapidly through the galactic community. Some reacted with fear, others with disbelief, and still others with cautious curiosity. In hidden enclaves across dozens of worlds, other human colonies watched and waited. For centuries, they had hidden their true nature from the rest of the galaxy, allowing themselves to be seen as scattered remnants of a fallen civilization. Now that carefully maintained illusion had been shattered. On the central world of the galactic hegemony, the Zarkonian High Command received Vex Thor's report with a mixture of shock and growing dread. The humans, a species they had dismissed as inconsequential, now represented a threat unlike anything they had faced before. As news of the battle spread, other alien races began to take notice. Old stories and half-forgotten legends about humanity's past glories were dug up and re-examined. Grainy footage of the space battle, captured by long-range sensors, was analyzed and debated in the halls of power across the galaxy. Back on the human homeworld, the Elder met with her top advisors to plan their next move. "We knew this day would come eventually," she said, her voice carrying the weight of centuries of preparation. "The question now is, do we reach out to the galactic community, or do we wait for them to come to us?" Zeke, the young tech genius, spoke up. "We should strike while the iron is hot," he argued. "Show the galaxy exactly what we're capable of, so no one else gets any bright ideas about trying to conquer us." Marcus, ever the cautious strategist, disagreed. "We've survived this long by staying hidden. Maybe we should pull back, fortify our positions, and see how the other races react before making any big moves." The Elder listened to the debate, her mind working through countless scenarios and possibilities. Finally, she held up a hand for silence. "We've spent centuries preparing for this moment," she said. "It's time for humanity to step back onto the galactic stage. But we'll do it on our terms." She turned to her communications officer. "Prepare a message for broadcast on all known galactic frequencies. It's time to introduce ourselves properly to our neighbors." As the human war machine stood down and diplomats prepared to take center stage, the rest of the galaxy held its breath. The species that had been dismissed as a dying remnant of a forgotten age had revealed itself to be anything but. Now, everyone waited to see what humanity's next move would be. In the depths of space, on worlds both known and hidden, Humans looked to the stars with a mixture of hope and determination. They had defeated one threat, but they knew there would be others. The galaxy was about to enter a new age, one shaped by the resurgence of a species that had spent centuries honing itself in secret. Humanity was back, and the universe would never be the same. Revelations. Commander Vexthor stood before the Zarkonian High Council, his posture rigid and his 4 eyes fixed straight ahead. The chamber was silent, the assembled leaders of the hegemony still processing the shocking report they had just received. "Let me ensure I understand this correctly, Commander," the High Counselor, an ancient Zarkonian named Xylvex, spoke slowly. "You're claiming that a single human world, one we believe to be a primitive colony, not only repelled our invasion force, but did so with technology that surpasses our own." Vexthor swallowed hard, fighting to keep his voice steady. "That is correct, High Counselor. The humans displayed capabilities we had previously thought impossible. Gravity manipulation, advanced air, stealth technology that rendered entire ships invisible to our sensors. The list goes on." Murmurs of disbelief and concern rippled through the chamber. Another council member, her scales a deep shade of blue, leaned forward. "How could we have been so wrong about their level of advancement? Our intelligence reports were clearly flawed." Vexthor interrupted, then quickly added, "My apologies, Counselor, but it seems the humans have been deliberately concealing their true capabilities from the rest of the galaxy. For how long, we can only guess." High Counselor Xylvex's eyes narrowed. "And now they've broadcast a message to the entire galactic community, a message that has thrown everything into chaos." The chamber's main viewscreen flickered to life, displaying the face of the human elder. Her weathered features and piercing eyes seemed to stare directly at each member of the council as her recorded message played once again. "Greetings, citizens of the galaxy. I speak to you on behalf of humanity, a species many of you have long dismissed or forgotten. Recent events have forced us to reveal ourselves before we had planned, but perhaps that is for the best. For centuries, we have watched from the shadows, advancing our technology and honing our skills while the rest of the galaxy saw us as nothing more than scattered remnants of a dead civilization. We chose isolation not out of fear, but out of necessity. Our history is one of constant struggle, of facing extinction and coming back stronger. We have fought ourselves, we have fought nature, and now we have fought those who would seek to conquer us. Each time, we have emerged victorious. To those who would see us as a threat, know this: we do not seek conflict, but we will not hesitate to defend ourselves with every means at our disposal. To those who approach us in peace, we offer friendship and the chance to benefit from knowledge and innovations you can scarcely imagine. The age of humanity hiding in the dark corners of the galaxy is over. We stand ready to take our place among the stars once more. The choice of how you respond to our emergence is yours. Choose wisely." As the message ended, silence once again fell over the council chamber. It was broken by a younger council member, his voice tinged with both awe and fear. "If what the commander says is true, if this is the capability of a single human world, what are we facing if there are more of them out there?" High Counselor Xylvex rose from his seat, his ancient frame straightening as he addressed the assembly. "We face a turning point in galactic history, my friends. The humans have thrown down a gauntlet, whether they intended to or not. How we respond will shape the future of not just the hegemony, but all spacefaring civilizations." He turned to Vexthor, his expression grave. "Commander, you have faced these humans in battle. You have witnessed their capabilities firsthand. What is your assessment? Can we stand against them militarily if it comes to that?" Vexthor felt the weight of every eye in the chamber upon him. He took a deep breath before answering. "High Counselor, members of the Council, based on what I have seen, I do not believe we can defeat the humans through military might alone. Their technology is beyond anything we have encountered. More than that, they have demonstrated a level of strategic thinking and adaptability that is, frankly, terrifying." His words hung in the air, the implications sinking in. The Zarkonian hegemony, long accustomed to being the dominant force in the galaxy, was facing a power they couldn't simply conquer or intimidate. "Then we must find another way," Tylvex declared. "We will not cede our position in the galaxy without a fight, but neither can we afford a war we cannot win. We need more information. We need to understand these humans, to learn the true extent of their capabilities and their intentions." The blue-scaled counselor spoke up again. "What of the other races? The Nyxeri, the Corinthi, the Vextal Confederation. How are they responding to the humans' emergence?" A holographic display sprang to life in the center of the chamber, showing a map of known space. Various indicators lit up, representing the major galactic powers. "Reports are still coming in," an aide explained, "but the initial reactions are mixed. Some, like the Nyxeri, are calling for immediate diplomatic contact with the humans. Others, particularly those with historical grievances against humanity, are mobilizing their fleets." Tylvex studied the map intently. "And what of the rumors? The whispers of other human worlds hidden throughout the galaxy?" The aide hesitated. We have no confirmation, High Counselor. But given what we've learned about their level of technology and their demonstrated ability to conceal themselves, it's possible, even likely." The implications hung heavy in the air. If there were more human worlds out there, each as advanced as the one that had repelled the Zarkonian invasion, the balance of power in the galaxy could shift dramatically overnight. "We need more than possibilities and likelihoods," Tylvex declared. "We need facts. Commander Vexthor, you have faced these humans and lived to tell the tale. I'm assigning you a new mission. You will lead a diplomatic expedition to the human world. Your goal is to establish contact, to learn as much as you can about their true capabilities and intentions." Vexthor's antennae twitched in surprise. "High Counselor, I'm a military commander, not a diplomat." "Precisely," Tylvex replied. "You have seen their strength firsthand. You will approach them not from a position of assumed superiority, but with the respect their power demands, and you will be in the best position to assess their military capabilities should diplomacy fail." As the council debated the details of the mission, light years away, the human elder was engaged in deliberations of her own. Representatives from other hidden human colonies had arrived, some in person, others via secure holographic links. The room buzzed with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. "We've waited centuries for this moment," a delegate from one of the Outer Rim colonies said. "Now that we've revealed ourselves, we can finally reclaim our place in the galaxy." "And what place is that, exactly?" another voice challenged. "Conquerors. Protectors. We've spent so long hiding. Do we even remember how to interact with other species on equal terms?" The elder raised a hand, silencing the debate. "We remember more than you might think," she said, her voice carrying the weight of ages. "We've watched, we've learned, and yes, we've advanced. But we've also remembered the lessons of our past, the mistakes that nearly destroyed us." She stood, her eyes sweeping across the assembled representatives. "We didn't hide out of fear. We hid to prepare. Not for war, not for conquest, but for the day when we could emerge as a force for balance in the galaxy. The Zarkonians' attack forced our hand, but it also gives us an opportunity." A holographic display sprang to life, showing the known galaxy. Scattered points of light represented confirmed human worlds, but there were also numerous question marks, possible locations of other colonies that had maintained radio silence for centuries. "Our strength isn't just in our technology," the elder continued. "It's in our diversity, our adaptability. Each of our colonies has developed in its own unique way, facing different challenges and finding different solutions. Together, we represent a wellspring of innovation and resilience that the galaxy has never seen before." Zeke, the young tech genius, spoke up. "We're already detecting increased chatter on subspace frequencies. The other races are talking about us, trying to figure out what our emergence means for them. Some are scared, others are intrigued. A few are even discussing the old legends. The elder nodded. The legends of how humanity once stood toe-to-toe with the elder races before our great fall. Those stories have grown in the telling, but there's truth at their core. We were explorers once, pioneers. We pushed the boundaries of science and challenged the very laws of physics. And we nearly destroyed ourselves in the process, Marcus added grimly. That's why we went into hiding. Why we've been so cautious about revealing our advancements. Exactly, the elder agreed. But now that we've been forced out of the shadows, we have a choice to make. Do we retreat back into isolation, forsaking our place in the galactic community? Or do we step forward, offering our knowledge and capabilities as a force for positive change? The room erupted in debate, arguments flying back and forth. Some advocated for a show of strength, believing that only by demonstrating their full military might could they secure humanity's position. Others called for caution, warning that moving too quickly could unite the other races against them. As the discussion raged, a young woman stepped forward. Her eyes glowed with a soft blue light, marking her as one of the bio-augmented humans that had become more common in some colonies. We've spent centuries asking ourselves if we're ready to rejoin galactic society, she said, her voice cutting through the chaos. But maybe that's the wrong question. Maybe we should be asking if the galaxy is ready for us. A hush fell over the room as she continued. We've evolved, not just technologically, but as a species. Our diversity is our strength. We're not just humans anymore. We're cyborgs. We're AI symbiotes. We're creatures adapted to live on worlds that would kill our ancestors. We represent the next step in evolution, guided by our own hands. The elder smiled, a glimmer of pride in her eyes. Well said. We stand at a crossroads, not just for humanity, but for all sentient life in the galaxy. The choices we make in the coming days and weeks will shape the future for millennia to come. She turned back to the galactic map, her expression resolute. We'll extend a hand in friendship to those who are willing to accept it. But we'll also make it clear that we will not be conquered, subjugated, or pushed aside. Humanity has earned its place among the stars, and we will claim it. As the human leaders debated their next moves, across the galaxy, other races watched and waited. In hidden temples on ancient worlds, keepers of long-forgotten lore dusted off texts that spoke of humanity's past glories and warned of their potential. On bustling trade worlds, merchants and information brokers found themselves suddenly inundated with requests for any scrap of data about the enigmatic humans. And in the vast, dark spaces between the stars, other eyes watched. Ancient beings, so old they remembered the rise and fall of entire civilizations, stirred from their long slumber. The game had changed, the board reset. Humanity, the upstart race that had once challenged the very foundations of the cosmic order before falling into obscurity, was back. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. The age of humanity's isolation was over. The age of revelation had begun. The final stand. The sleek diplomatic vessel Harmony glided through space, its iridescent hull gleaming in the light of unfamiliar stars. On the bridge, Commander Vexthor stood rigid, his four eyes fixed on the view screen as they approached the human world. Despite the ship's name and stated mission, tension thrummed through every member of the crew. "We're being hailed," the communications officer reported, a tremor in her voice. Vexthor nodded, steeling himself. On screen, the image of the human elder flickered into view, her weathered face impassive as she regarded the Zarkonian delegation. "Welcome to Earth, Commander Vexthor. We've been expecting you." Vexthor's antennae twitched in surprise. This was not the backwater colony he had attempted to invade, but humanity's legendary homeworld, a planet long thought to be uninhabitable. "Greetings, Elder. We come in peace, seeking dialogue and understanding." A small smile played at the corners of the Elder's mouth. "A far cry from your last visit to human space, Commander. But we appreciate the change in approach. You have permission to land. Coordinates are being transmitted now." As the transmission ended, Vexthor turned to his second-in-command. They knew we were coming. They know who I am. Their intelligence capabilities are unsettling. The harmony descended through Earth's atmosphere, the crew watching in awe as they passed through layers of shimmering energy fields, planetary defenses far beyond anything they had encountered before. The devastated world they had expected gave way to a verdant landscape dotted with gleaming cities that seemed to blend seamlessly with the natural environment. They landed in a vast plaza, the ship dwarfed by towering structures that defied conventional architecture. As Vexthor and his delegation disembarked, they found themselves surrounded by a diverse group of humans. Some appeared fully organic, others displayed obvious cybernetic enhancements, and still others seemed to shift and change, as if their very forms were fluid. The Elder stepped forward, flanked by Zeke and Marcus. "Welcome to Earth, Commander. We have much to discuss." Over the next several days, Vexthor and his team were given a whirlwind tour of human civilization. They witnessed technological marvels that challenged their understanding of physics, saw environmental engineering on a planetary scale, and observed social structures that seemed to effortlessly blend organic and artificial intelligences. In a quiet moment, Vexthor found himself alone with the Elder, looking out over a city that seemed to pulse with life. "I don't understand," he admitted. "If this is what you're truly capable of, why hide for so long? Why allow the galaxy to think you were all but extinct?" The Elder's eyes, ancient yet sharp, met his gaze. "Necessity, Commander. Humanity nearly destroyed itself once before. We needed time. Time to grow, to learn, to become something more than what we were. The galaxy wasn't ready for us then. The question is it ready now?" Before Vexthor could respond, alarms blared throughout the city. Zeke burst into the room, his cybernetic implants pulsing with urgency. "Elder, we have a situation. Multiple fleets have just appeared at the edge of the solar system. It's everyone. The Nixeri, the Corinthi, the Vextal Confederation. Even the precursors." Vexthor's blood ran cold. The precursors were thought to be a myth, an ancient race that had seeded the galaxy with life eons ago before vanishing into the depths of space. If they were real, and they were here. The Elder's face hardened, years seeming to fall away as she snapped into action. "So the galaxy has made its choice. Zeke, initiate Protocol Omega. Marcus, begin evacuation procedures for non-combatants. Commander," she turned to Vexthor, "it seems your diplomatic mission may have just become considerably more complicated." Vexthor straightened, duty warring with the revelations of the past few days. "Elder, I don't know what's happening, but my ship and crew are at your disposal. We did not come here to start a war." A sad smile crossed the Elder's face. "No, Commander, but I fear you may have just become witnesses to one." The next few hours were a blur of activity. Vexthor watched in awe as the seemingly peaceful human world transformed into a fortress. Hidden defense platforms emerged from the earth, and massive cannons unfolding from underneath tranquil parks. The skies filled with swarms of sleek fighters and capital ships that dwarfed anything in the Zarkonian fleet. From a holographic command center deep beneath the surface, the Elder coordinated humanity's response. Representatives from other human worlds flickered into existence around her, each reporting on their own preparations. "The Sol Dyson sphere is online and at full power," one reported. "The Arcturus defense grid is primed and ready," said another. "Alpha Centauri's time dilation field is active. We can buy you years if needed," a third chimed in. Vexthor's mind reeled at the implications. These weren't isolated colonies. This was an interstellar civilization with defenses and capabilities beyond anything the rest of the galaxy had imagined. The Elder's voice cut through the chatter. "My friends, we have prepared for this moment for centuries. Humanity stands on the brink once more. But this time, we face it united and unbowed. We did not seek this conflict, but neither will we shrink from it. The galaxy has come to pass judgment on us. Let us show them that humanity's light will not be so easily extinguished. As the combined fleets of multiple galactic powers entered the solar system, the true scale of the conflict became apparent. Tens of thousands of ships filled space, ranging from nimble fighters to behemoths that rivaled small moons in size. At their center, a massive vessel of clearly alien design pulsed with eldritch energy, the Precursor flagship. A transmission echoed across all frequencies, a voice that seemed to bypass traditional communication methods and speak directly into the minds of all who heard it. Children of Earth, the Precursor intoned, its mental voice ancient and heavy with the weight of eons, your resurgence threatens the balance of the galaxy. Submit to judgment or face extinction. The Elder's response was immediate and broadcast just as widely. We are not children to be judged or corrected. Humanity has earned its place among the stars through blood, sweat, and sacrifice. We will not submit. We will not go quietly into the night. If you seek our extinction, then know this: we will fight with every fiber of our being, with every world at our disposal, with every innovation and adaptation we have wrought. And we will prevail. For a moment, the solar system hung in silence, two indomitable wills facing off across the void. Then, with a flash of weapons fire from the Precursor ship, the battle was joined. The conflict that followed would be spoken of in whispered awe for millennia to come. Human ships danced between enemy formations with impossible agility, their advanced AI pilots outmaneuvering organic opponents at every turn. Weapons of unimaginable power lanced out from Earth and its sister worlds, each shot guided with pinpoint precision. But the opposing fleets were vast, and for every ship destroyed, another seemed to take its place. The Precursors brought to bear technologies that warped the very fabric of spacetime, creating gravitational singularities that threatened to tear planets apart. In the midst of the chaos, Vex Thor found himself fighting alongside the humans he had come to study. The Harmony, small though it was, darted between massive capital ships, its weapons recalibrated by Zeke to punch above their weight class. Hours stretched into days as the battle raged across the entire solar system. Phobos, moon of Mars, was shattered by a Precursor weapon. Its fragments turned into a deadly asteroid field that claimed ships on both sides. Jupiter's great red spot was transformed into a massive storm of antimatter, its energies harnessed by human ships to devastating effect. Through it all, the Elder coordinated humanity's defense with a strategic brilliance that left even the Precursors reeling. Every time the tide seemed to turn against Earth, a new technological marvel or tactical innovation would shift the balance. As the conflict reached its crescendo, with both sides battered and bloody but neither willing to yield, a new player entered the fray. From the outer reaches of the solar system, a massive fleet of ships unlike anything seen before dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Their designs were clearly human in origin, but incorporated elements of a dozen different alien races. The Elder's eyes widened in recognition. The lost fleets. They came back. Centuries ago, when humanity had faced extinction and chosen to go into hiding, not all had agreed with the plan. Some had chosen to leave, to seek new homes and new allies in the farthest reaches of space. Now, it seemed, they had returned in Earth's hour of need. The fresh reinforcements tipped the scales. Caught between the resurgent forces of Earth and the technological terrors of the returning human fleets, the invaders began to falter. Even the mighty Precursor flagship, for all its reality-warping weapons, found itself outmatched by the combined might of a humanity united. In the end, it was not a decisive blow that ended the battle, but a moment of understanding. The Precursor ship, its defenses finally breached, opened a direct channel to the human command center. The alien being that appeared on the view screen was unlike anything Vex Thor had ever seen, a creature of pure energy and thought, its form constantly shifting. When it spoke, its words resonated with a mixture of awe and fear. "We were wrong," the Precursor admitted, its mental voice heavy with the weight of revelation. "We thought to judge you, to find you wanting as we did eons ago. But you have surpassed even our wildest expectations. You have taken the spark of potential we saw in your species and kindled it into a flame that outshines the stars themselves. The elder stepped forward, her expression stern but not unkind. We did not seek this conflict. We asked only for the chance to find our own path among the stars. Will you grant us that now? The precursor's form pulsed with what might have been a nod. More than that, we offer you a place among us, as equals. The galaxy stands at a crossroads, and we believe humanity may be the key to charting a course through the challenges that lie ahead. As the cessation of hostilities spread across the battlefield, ships on all sides standing down, Vex Thor turned to the elder in amazement. Is it over? Just like that? The elder's weathered face broke into a genuine smile. No, Commander. It's not over. It's just beginning. Humanity has reclaimed its place in the galactic community, but now the real work starts. We have to prove ourselves worthy of the faith that's been placed in us, to bridge the gap between the younger races and the ancient powers that shape the cosmos. She turned to address the assembled human leaders and alien representatives. For too long, we hid in the shadows, honing our skills and advancing our understanding of the universe. We thought we were preparing for war, for the day when we would have to fight for our very survival. But in doing so, we made ourselves into something more. We became not just warriors, but innovators, diplomats, and visionaries. The elder's gaze swept across the room, meeting the eyes of humans and aliens alike. Today marks the dawn of a new era. An era where humanity stands not apart from the galactic community, but as an integral part of it. We bring with us the lessons of our past, the strength of our diversity, and the boundless potential of our future. She extended a hand to the shimmering form of the precursor. Together, we will forge a path to a future brighter than any single race could achieve alone. The stars themselves tremble with the possibilities that lie before us. Let us meet them not with fear, but with hope, determination, and the unquenchable spirit that has defined humanity since we first looked up at the night sky and dared to dream. As cheers erupted throughout the solar system and beyond, Vex Thor realized he was witnessing the birth of a new age. The humans, once thought to be a dying species clinging to the edges of the galaxy, had in one fell swoop reshaped the cosmic order. Their journey from hidden survivors to galactic power players was complete, but their true story, the story of how they would use that power to shape the future of all sentient life, was only just beginning. The age of isolation was over. The age of humanity ascendant had dawned, and the galaxy would never be the same again.